Focused.
And that is the answer. How could it be number one in the world?
And this is pursuit of greatness.
Good afternoon and welcome to GCTV, welcome to London and welcome to the Global Champions League as we get ready for another day of world-class show jumping here right on the doorstep of the Royal Chelsea Hospital. We are preparing to bring you the best riders in the world to compete for this championship title, to compete for those top 4 spots and to compete for the highest league position finish that they can achieve before we get to the final in Riyadh and before we get to the big GCL Super Cup later on this year in Prague, powered by Airbank. Thank you for joining us. The sun has come out and in true London fashion. Just moments ago, we were covering all the equipment because the rain had decided to come down. It has passed. The sun is out. We are ready. London is ready. And we certainly hope that you are ready for Global Champions League Round 1 and Round 2. There is the bell. There is the course walk, marking the official start, the official beginning of today's affairs. My name is Mark Lewis. Thank you for joining us. And as we said, welcome to this incredible location, this truly humbling location, one that we continuously always pay homage to and look forward to meeting and catching up with the pensioners in and around the grounds here. We are very excited, as always, to be hosted by them, to get to know more about them. And in fact, speaking of the Royal Chelsea Hospital, Rosie is standing by with one of the pensioners.
Thank you, Mark. I'm actually here with one of our Chelsea pensioners now. Roy, it's so lovely to have you here. Just tell us, who are the Chelsea pensioners?
Well, let me first say that my name's Roy Palmer. I am a Chelsea pensioner, and you could see behind, it's a beautiful place to live. We are at the Longines horse trials, but we have to be ex-army. We have to be unencumbered by spouse. A wonderful phrase, I think, means no wives and no dependents. We pay to be here, but not a lot, and we have the best facilities in the world for us old codgers.
And just how important is that for you to have the hospital, to have the camaraderie?
It's great, it really is. You can't explain it. You can't get it in a village. You can't get it in a town. Here, you've got it all the time. There's people. We are a community, so we do fall out with one another now and again. But, you know, that's what life's about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
No animosity.
We have the Longines Global Champions Tour here in your garden.
In my garden.
How exciting is that?
It's absolutely brilliant. It gives us all chance to see something different. We have the flower show and other things, but the horse trials are really great. It's totally different. And we get famous people, we get ordinary people, and all people are lovely.
Well, we also get you as well, and it's wonderful to have you all here walking around in your wonderful uniform. Thank you so much, Roy. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Rosie. Thank you, Roy. How wonderful to meet you, to be able to engage with the pensioners who are here on site, walking around, big smiles on the faces. So awesomely humbling to be able to be here on their doorstep. And as Rosie says, be jumping in their backyard today for Global Champions League. What about the actual competition? What about what is happening on the field inside that championship race? Because as the season has unfolded, as the season has gone deeper and deeper into it, we've realized now that this two-horse race is firmly being developed between the Paris Panthers and Razorback International, powered by Kingsland. Let's just give you an idea as to how these two teams have basically gone head-to-head throughout the entire season, from the opening stage in Doha to where we find ourselves now in London. Let's give you some perspective as to how these two have bobbed and weaved their way through the competition. An early start, an early great start for Razorback in Doha. They struggled somewhat in Miami, and then from Mexico to Madrid, Saint-Tropez, Cannes, Stockholm, Paris, Monaco, A Coruña, and Razorback last week. These two teams have firmly put themselves into the championship race as 1 versus 2 remains, and Razorback International from Cannes, stage 6, have held on to that championship lead and have not relinquished the championship lead. So, if they have not relinquished it until now, what needs to be done? How is it possible, if and when Paris Panthers are to indeed eventually take over that lead, move into first place, and arguably pull out one of the biggest comeback stories in Global Champions League history? This is how it looks as it stands, and let me talk you through this. Current points between the two teams, left and right. If Paris Panthers were to win every stage from now in, they would finish on a maximum of 355 points. That is as good as Paris Panthers can make it. A victory on every stage takes them to 354. That means that in a worst-case scenario for Razorback International, only 95 points are left to be won between now and the end of Riyadh. Razorback International are at a bare minimum 95 points away. So if they were to pick up victory today and take 30 points on offer from GCL wins, remember, it is 30 points for a win. It is 25 for second and 21st for third. If they were to take out either 21, 25 or 30 points, they could remove that off the 95-point tally and move one step closer to retaining the title that they won as the Berlin Eagles back in 2022. Speaking of new exciting things, we'll show you some new mascots that have been unveiled, by the way, for the 2023 season, maybe a little bit later on. But staying with this championship story, it's all about Razorback, it's all about Paris. But here, by the way, let us introduce you to two brand new individuals that make their way into the ring in absolute style, of course, being driven in a traditional, authentic London cab, as we unveil for the first time in the 2023 season, Sammy and Paco, the new mascots for the Global Champions League and for the Longines Global Champions Tour. They are going to warm up the crowd, and they get a warm welcome here on GCTV as well. Welcome Sammy, welcome Paco in their blue and red for Global Champions League and the Longines Global Champions Tour. Smiling to the cameras, entertaining the crowd as well. Big smile on their faces as well as they get ready for the competition here in London. You may as well make them Razorback International and Paris Panthers, as the two of them put together a bit of a boxing match as well, as those two teams will go head-to-head today and throughout the rest of the season as well. So welcome to the family, welcome to the tour, and welcome to the stage of Global Champions League and the Longines Global Champions Tour, to our brand new two mascots. Speaking of that championship story, let's maybe just jump back a single stage and remind you as to what took place in the Razorback International. It was not the fairy tale win for the hosts, but despite losing out the title to the Paris Panthers, who made it 2 back-to-back victories, Razorback International continued to just get onto the podium, nullify the points gained from Paris Panthers, and make this even that much more exciting. Let's remind you how it finished in stage 11.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Razorback. Philipparts with this feisty man, Olivier Philipparts, and maybe they just proved me wrong here with this double clear. Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M. Kühner with the finish for the leading score here in Razorback. Exactly that it is. Kühner with a clear. Saint-Tropez Pirates I cannot believe what I am seeing. But simultaneously on Grand Slam VDL, a early fault. Paris Panthers come in with a single rail. With the pressure mounting now on the home team on Riesenbeck International, powered by Kingsland. It is a double clear as Paris Panthers lead the stage. Riesenbeck International. And it's gone. And it is Paris Panthers that win.
We're going to keep pushing. Riesenbeck was close to us today, but it makes it more and more exciting for everybody watching, and just keep trying to lead the jumps up and make the pressure, and hopefully finish the season strong.
Champagne aplenty for Paris Panthers. Riesenbeck International, as we say, just staying right behind them on those coattails, making sure that even if and when Paris Panthers perform very well, they try and take some of the sting out of that. They try and remove some of that bite. Remember, Frederik de Backer, who is not with us this week in London, we will see him back again for the following stage in Valkenswaard. But for now, it will not be about Frederik de Backer. But he always talks about GCL has two components. It is about as doing well as you can, and perhaps more importantly, it is about putting as much room between yourself and your opponents. And that is where Riesenbeck International are frustrating Paris Panthers, who pick up victory in A Coruña, who pick up victory in Riesenbeck, but they continue to just keep themselves as close as possible. So I wonder what is going through the mind of the Riesenbeck International men. Christian Kuckuck, Philipp Weishout, winners here in 2022. Both men return. Christian Kuckuck standing by with Gareth.
Well, thank you, Mark. I'm here with part of Riesenbeck International, powered by Kingsland's dominant team this season, Christian Kuckuck. Are you feeling the pressure coming into today with this 25-point lead?
Well, I feel the pressure every time when I come in the ring. That has nothing to do if we have 20 points or 25 points ahead or not. Every day is a new day. Anything can happen, so we have to be awake as every day.
I've got to ask a little bit about the horse selection. You know, what were the thoughts? You've got two top horses here. You've gone with Just Be Gentle, but Mumbai is here, who was part of the winning team last year. What's the thought behind that?
Yeah, well, I mean, they both did anyway a great job now over the season. I won with Mumbai, I won with Just Be Gentle. I just thought that I start with Just Be Gentle today in the first round. You know, she's only 9 years old. And the first round, as usual, is a little bit softer than the second round. And then basically I see what says my feeling after the first round. I have everything in my head. Maybe I jump her the second round as well, or maybe I change to Mumbai. I'm not sure now that I will see after the first round, but that's a little bit behind my thinking.
Well, the pressure is on. Good luck. Paris are just behind you. In fact, Rosie is with the Paris Panthers right now, so let's hear their side of the story as well.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. I'm with the team manager, Rob, for the Paris Panthers. The Riesenbecks are feeling the pressure. How are you feeling it?
We're not feeling any pressure because we're coming from behind, and I think all the pressure's on them. They were so far ahead. We're catching them slowly. We're just going to do our own thing, and you know, we've got super horses here, super riders. If they step up, you know, we can be there, but they're far ahead, and for us there's no pressure. For them there's pressure. Yeah.
As you said, you are coming from slightly behind. How does it feel to not quite have that title in your hands?
Well, we had a bad result in Stockholm. You know, we had no points in Stockholm, which obviously put us a long way behind. We gradually, you know, stepped up. We've been second, first the last three shows. So we're in a good form. Normally the second half of the season is good for us. There's one show at a time, one round at a time. Anything can happen to them or to us. And there's teams behind that can still obviously challenge us for second place and so on. I mean, Riesenbeck is a fantastic team and great riders, really good horses. Lutke has perfect management, so you know it's going to be difficult.
Talking of perfect management, you've walked the course. What advice will you be giving your riders today?
It actually looks reasonably straightforward as far as distances are concerned for our horses. Jumps are big enough, like always. Very light material because the poles are reasonably short, so you need very careful horses. We've got two careful horses in, so. We try and do our best in the first round, and then we make a decision second round whether Gregory comes in or I stay with Ben and Harry. But we decide after the first round.
All tactics to play for. Thank you very much, Rob. Good luck. Back to you in the studio, Mark.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Thank you very much to Gareth for chatting to Razorback International, chatting to Paris Panthers. And I like the wording, I like the messaging, I like the mentality behind the comments of Rob Hoekstrom, trying to place it all onto the shoulders of Razorback International. He is aware that they did not perform, the Paris Panthers, in Stockholm, and that cost them dearly. But very quickly and very subtly, just trying to remind Razorback International that it is their title to lose. He claims that they are very far behind and claims that they were just here to do their best. But he also knows that 2 back-to-back victories and maybe even a third back-to-back-to-back victory from Paris Panthers will really start to set the fire under the coattails of Razorback International. So perhaps a little bit of mind games from the very experienced manager in Rob Hoekstrom. What is going to be the reaction? The exciting thing from a starting list point, by the way, is the fact that we love how the show jumping gods seem to do this, because Razorback International will be out in 12th, Paris Panthers out in 10th. So accompanied near one another, they'll be very close to each other, seeing what the other team does, and we will be standing here every single moment of it, bringing you every single piece of action. The big question now becomes, what are they going to jump? What has Uliana Vidzani put together here in London? Once again, back to Gareth inside the ring for us as we get ready for today's course walk.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome down here to the arena floor. We're live with you at the Royal Hospital, Chelsea, and it is building up just nicely. You can feel, in fact, out here, the riders are walking the course. There's a certain level of tension just beginning to edge up notch by notch. The pressure is certainly on those big 2 teams, but it's all to play for up and down the line. And Uliana Vidzani, once again, is coming up with another grand design here in one of the grandest design buildings for boating us on the side of the arena to challenge these horses and riders. And it's a track, as we know, in this opening round that is set at a height of 1.55 meters. And it's there to test them all. Right from the start, it's got a good balance to it, it's got a good rhythm to it. But ultimately, they've got to find their way around as quick as they can, but most importantly, clear. The opening part of the course really does get them going. There's a few twists and turns at the start that are going to be key, but I wanted to take us towards the end of the course, because just over here beside me, we're going to go for a little walk, we've got this Global Champions League combination. And you're going to see here, it's right up against the side of the Royal Hospital Chelsea, but also right up against the side of the arena too. Now, firstly, prior to that, over here, they're jumping a fence in the corner. And if you look behind me, what you can see is the arena entrance, where the horses are coming in and out. The warm-up arena is just down the back there. And the fence before this, it really throws them right the way back into that entrance. And they've got to find their way from number 10 round here to number 11. It's quite an open distance. They'll in the end be able to make up their mind on this turn, but they're really going to have to keep the horses thinking. Uliana has gone really late in the course with the double and with the combination. He's left the opening part of the course quite flowing, quite forward, but then when the horses are perhaps just getting a little bit more tired, perhaps they're beginning to switch off, and that is something they are going to have to think about here. That's when he's brought this test out. So let's have a little look here at this Global Champions League combination. The famous red and white poles, they've caught out more than 1 or 2 riders over the years. And when you look down here, I don't know if we can get our camera to do this, it is just a blur of poles. That they're going to have to make sure, with the upright at the beginning, standing at 1.55 meters, that their horses are just right. Let's have a little look through it, because we're also going to go and see what comes at the other end of it as well. But this Global Champions League, we'll walk this out. It's a single stride to start with. Down here towards this parallel. Now, again, absolutely square. Uliano's not giving them a break. You can see there's the podium. That's what they're aiming for at the end of the day, just beside us here. Big wide, just the 3 poles, nice and open. But again, this is going to just draw them in a little bit. Once we follow on from this, this is where he's been, again, a little bit testing, because 1 stride in, but 2 strides out. So you're going to power out, and then this coming a little bit short. So once you've powered up, you've got out over that parallel, then you're just going to have to be a little bit sensible, sit your horse back, think about the 2 strides, and then again, standing even bigger when they come out the other end of that at 1.55 meters. But again, I really think, I mean, the crowd here, what a view of show jumping this must be, to be able to look in no more than a meter away from where these horses and riders are going. But it is something, again, little bit unique in this arena because the other three sides, the crowd are set quite far back. On this side, there's a little bit of noise, there's a lot of buzz, and again, they just need to make sure these horses are focusing. So let's just take you to the final part of this combination, like I say, and then got to remember here, the combination's coming at 12A, 12B, 12C. We are late in the course. There is still one final fence to go, and I think this final line is well worth having a little look at. Coming round here, again, concentration, fitness, stamina, and belief in what they're doing, but ultimately keeping those horses listening to them all the time. We got this curved line going up here towards fence 12, the London taxis. Now they've got a choice here. It depends if they come on the inside line or if they go on the outside line. They can choose, therefore, between going on 7 or going on 8, depending on which line they take. I think most will go on 8, to be quite honest. But time does hold its relevance as well when it comes to this competition because it sets them up for the second round. We know that faults ultimately are the deciding factor, but you want the advantage as well in terms of time to just give yourself a slightly better starting position. Final fence on the course, the good old London taxi. These poles with the horizontal colours sometimes just prove that little bit more tricky than those with the broken round colours. But what this is a big solid parallel. Not perhaps the widest fence on the course. Be fascinating, but Uliano perhaps just being a little bit thoughtful of the fact that by the time they get here, they still have done an awful lot of work. So all the way around this course, they've got to be so careful. But ultimately, they've got to find their way to also not only being careful and clear, but to think about the time. And like I say, the early part of the track, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, it's the turns on the end of the arena. There's about 4 of those where they have the option to perhaps just think about making up a little bit of time. Time allowed will come to. Uliano at the moment will just be out putting the final touches to that at the moment. And he'll be out there. Oh golly gosh. Hello, how are we doing? Here we go. What are the new mascots this week? Are you going to have a go at jumping in as well? Maybe a bit later. Nice to see you. Brand new mascots here for the Longines Global Champions Tour. Having a lot of fun out here, and the crowd are having a great time as well. It's an absolute sellout down here at the Royal Hospital Chelsea. This venue has become the place to be. And one of the other factors we need to talk about as well is this arena. The last 2 rounds of the Longines Global Champions Tour, if you think about it, in A Coruña, big open sand arena, and then we went to Riesenbeck, and of course again big grass arena there, big open surfaced arenas. Where they come here, we're back more to that style that we've seen in the likes of Cannes and Saint-Tropez, and even you could think of Monaco. We're not quite as small as that, but it's a different style of horse, it's a different style of feel. It's going to be an interesting competition, that is for sure. Will Riesenbeck be able to hold what is the biggest lead we've seen with 4 rounds to go? We'll wait and find out. Mark, it's all back to you.
Thank you very much, Gareth. I see you're enjoying meeting the new mascots for the 2023 season. Sammy and Paco in the ring, making sure that Gareth goes from fence to fence to fence and gives us some perspective as to what is lying in wait for us here, designed and set up by Uliano Vizzani for Global Champions League Round 1. Stay with us here on GCTV. When we take a quick break, we return and we welcome back to Global Champions League Peter Fredriksson.
These are some of the hardest shows in the world.
Competing against top of the world.
Each team is required to have one under 25 rider.
If you're good enough, you make it, and if not, then it's a little difficult.
It's not like a car. When it's broken, you bring it to the garage and it's fixed.
It's my special horse.
Yeah, there it is.
He changed my life.
What a start from the championship.
It's overwhelming.
It's a dream come true for me to be here.
The score now rises.
I'm stressed.
You can be on top of the world the one week and then at the bottom of the pile the next week.
Ooh, and it comes to a stop.
Jumping good as well.
They always say you're as good as your last round. Show jumping is down to the finest details.
Not trying to be 5th, just trying to be 1st.
Look at that! Unbelievable!
That one will be hard to beat.
Some of these under 25 riders will be the champions of tomorrow.
This feeling is
I'm here to win and not just take part.
We are getting ready for the visits to Staltorps Arena for Falkenswaard next stage. But for now, we need to keep the attention on London. We need to keep the attention on this ongoing battle for the top four, ongoing battle for overall league positions, and of course that ongoing battle for the championship between the Razorback International and the Paris Panthers. But Peter Fredriksson makes a heroic return to Global Champions League this weekend, and after suffering a rather horrendous injury in Stockholm, I sat down with him yesterday, had the opportunity to open up, and inarguably one of my favorite interviews of the year. Got the opportunity to really try get inside his mind, to try and work out what was happening at the moment of the injury, what was going through his mind, through his heart, and how that recovery has been as we get ready to welcome him back to in-ring action today. Let's just remind you as to what took place back in Stockholm and just how the incredible Peter Fredriksson has recovered to get back onto the horse. How are you feeling physically? Talk to us about that.
Thank you. I'm feeling good. Nice to be back again.
That's all? Come on, how are you feeling? Talk to us about the body. How does the body feel?
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good actually. You know, sometimes, you know, when the horse is pulling a bit or twisting a bit, for sure I can feel it. But, you know, I'm coping, no problem.
Let's talk about Stockholm. It was a hero's weekend for you. It didn't end the way you wanted it to. Can you take us back to the injury? Can you talk to us about what was in your mind?
Yeah, no, it's like you say, things can change so quickly. We had a beautiful evening there on the Saturday when we won in the team at home. It was, you know, really, really nice atmosphere. Everything was great. And then in the morning, I was jumping my young horse Kisserai in the young horse class. And in the warm-up, she got a bit hot, and I tried to slow her down a little bit, just coming a little bit deep on the fence just to slow her down. But then she misunderstood me, which easily happens with young horses, and she took off one stride too early. And she couldn't reach over the fence, so she got the hind pole in between the front legs, and she tripped over. I was lying there, and I knew, because I had some friends that broke their neck, so I knew I was better lie quiet, you know, until the medical team comes. So I actually tried to move my legs a little bit just to show that I was fine. And I was in quite a bit of pain straight away because I had quite a lot of bleedings in my neck. It's not the first time I fall off. It's probably the worst though, but you know, it comes with the job a little bit, so I just tried not to panic too much and think too much of the future. I didn't do so much in the beginning of the season, and Stockholm was my first show, and then I planned to go to Paris and a lot of shows, and then my accident came, so I haven't contributed a lot to the team, unfortunately. And we struggled a little bit. We're not in the position we want to be. We want to be in the lead, of course. It was okay being off for a while because I could do other things, but I must say I really, really enjoy being back again. Meeting all my friends again, all the colleagues, and seeing everybody. It's such a great atmosphere on these shows, and get that thrill and adrenaline going again. You know, I love that. I'm not going to take it that easy though. I mean, I'm just going to do it as good as I can. But I know, I mean, what we need to do is just do clear rounds and fast and end up in the top of the podium. That's what we want. And we focus now on getting really good horses and good riders to every show. We try to have a good third rider with us all the time that can step in if something happens and really do it as good as we can.
How fantastic to not only have Peter Fredriksson come back to Global Champions League and come back to our stage, but to see him back in such strong physical form, talking about his injury, undergoing the rehab, working his way back from that horrific fall in Stockholm to now just barely weeks later to have him back then in the saddle, back on the stage and back inside our London ring for the Stockholm Hearts. He will be jumping today with Hansen along with Olivia Philipparts, and Le Bleu Diamond will be the team for Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. As he points out, they know that it has been a substandard season for a very talented team, a team that was developed in 2022, came out firing and went down to the final day of the year to win the title last year, only to lose it out to the then Berlin Eagles. They have dropped the ball somewhat in 2023 and know that some good form today, some good performances today can really keep the pressure on the heels of the Saint-Tropez Pirates, of the Prague Lions as well, as that battle for fourth continues to play out. Of course, being in London, there will be every single one of these fans here shouting for each and every single British rider that comes out into the ring today. And arguably one of those that has really rose to some superstardom and has rose to a huge amount of fame and popularity is that of young Jack Whittaker. He's standing by, chatting to Rosie, giving us some thoughts ahead of this weekend's performances.
Well, alongside me, British rider Jack Whittaker, poster boy for this London event. How do you feel?
Yeah, very confident, thank you. Very good, feeling very good.
What's it like seeing your face all over it? A little bit of added pressure?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know they were going to do that. They could, about 1,000 photos they've taken of me, they could have picked one where I got my mouth closed.
So they didn't warn you about that?
No, not at all.
Well, listen, we're ahead of the GCL today. You've just walked the course. How does it look?
Yeah, no, it's nice. Testing enough, but it's a nice enough course. Like the next round is going to be very, very big and very tough, so I think it's just a nice one to ease us into it.
Tactfully wise, how have the team been this morning? What have you been discussing?
Been just another day, really. We don't really need to discuss that much. I think I've got Mark McCall on the team with this morning, then Michael obviously later on. So there's the two obviously professionals, very good. So it's not me discussing with them; it's more them telling me what to do. You know.
You've also got your uncle John Whittaker here. You're riding against him today. Do you ever take advice from them?
Yeah, they don't really say a lot really. It's normally kick a bit more there, or sit up a bit more here, or needs to be a bit faster there, or some just little things. But you try and pick up as much as you can.
With such a famous show jumping family, does that affect you mentally, or is it, like you said, just another day?
You try not to think about it too much really. Honestly, it doesn't really. It doesn't really factor in your head when you're cantering around. You're your own rider as well. Obviously, I think it's a fantastic thing to be part of the family. I couldn't be more grateful or lucky, really. I don't think so. Try and see it as much as possible.
And how is your horse feeling ahead of this? I'm assuming you've had a little warm up already.
Yeah, no. Equine America Val made a little land. He jumped around yesterday. He had one down, but he's feeling really good, nice and relaxed. Well, say relaxed. He's pretty fresh this morning, but he's feeling good, feeling ready for it.
How are the nerves?
Yeah, nerves are fine at the moment. I don't really get nervous until I'm about to canter into the ring, and then kind of when I jump the first fence, it all goes away and turns into focus, I guess. So at the moment, I'm all right.
You're also
hungry.
hungry. You're also on home soil, and there's quite a crowd here today.
Yeah, there is. There's always a great crowd when you jump into these shows in the UK. It's fantastic to see. It's a great feeling when you canter into the ring, you get a nice cheer, and the atmosphere is always fantastic. So looking forward to it.
Well, listen, enjoy it, and very good luck. Thanks, Jack. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Rosie. I like the fact that you pointed out the poster boy, because when you do walk inside the arena, when you come into this wonderful ground here at the Royal Chelsea Hospital, there are major, massive wraparound posters making their way in, and understandably promoting the British riders. You would imagine that John Whittaker is there, absolutely. Ben Mayer is there, absolutely. And looking at the future of show jumping, Jack Whittaker is now entering into that phase where he is quite literally becoming the face of the sport, at least here in the Britain's field. He is becoming that young rider to look out for. Perhaps not too happy about the photo that was chosen. I'll see if I can do anything about that. Jack Whittaker looking forward to coming out today for Madrid in Motion. Will be alongside Mark McCauley, 11th team to come out the gate. Let's remind you as to what the standings look like as we get ready for today's Global Champions League Round 1 in London. And remind you about that lead of the Kingsland International Powered team, Razorback International, who hold on to that lead and find themselves now just 25 points ahead of the Paris Panthers. And Madrid in Motion, who have remained very much in contention throughout the year, now slowly falling out of it and will look to just hold inside the top four and book themselves a spot in the GCL Super Cup semi-finals. But that battle is heating up between Saint-Tropez Pirates, Prague Lions and the Stockholm Hearts, knowing that all three of those teams have the opportunity to lock down that fourth place. And because of that, they will know that there is absolutely no room for error. And for these teams here, they know that the highest they can finish, the better for the Global Champions League quarterfinals. It is not about ignoring where you finish now if you're outside the top 4, because the higher you can finish outside of that top 4, the later you will go in the GCL Super Cup quarterfinals. You want a better start time. So for those teams, they know that it is still crucial to perform well in these closing stages, to make up some championship points and try and boost themselves higher and higher up that GCL Super Cup quarterfinal starting position. And we will bring that to you live from the GC Prague playoffs, powered by Airbank, later on this year. Have you got your tickets for Prague? It is going to come around incredibly quickly, and we encourage you to come to the biggest stage of them all in our season, that big playoff stage in Prague later on this year. For now, though, we say thank you for joining us here on GCTV. We take a break and we get ready for Global Champions League Round 1. 2021 winners, Falcons United, will be the first team to come out of the gates today. Gilles Thomas will start for them alongside John Whittaker. No Edwina Tops-Alexander in round 1, perhaps being held by Jan Tops for round 2. Gilles Thomas, John Whittaker up first. This is GCTV, and welcome to Global Champions League live from London.
More besides, when you look there, big names, Christian Allman, Max Kuhner, all in the lineup coming towards the end. It's been a good number of years we've been enjoying the hospitality of the fabulous Chelsea pensioners. Some finding it a far more relaxing day than others, I'm sure. They'll be enjoying themselves. The riders now will be out the back just putting the final touches to their warm-up. I wonder if there's any nerves going on out the back. It's been great as well, because the warm-up right in the heart of what's going on here, it allows the crowd to really go and see what's happening out there, and there's plenty of chances for them to bump in to some of the stars of the show. And once again, this has drawn together a quite brilliant field. There's 7 of the top 10 riders on the Longines Global Champions Tour overall rankings here with us in London. And then you look at the battle that's coming this afternoon in the Global Champions League, with 4 rounds from the end, including today. It is getting to fever pitch, and if you go back to what happened here 12 months ago, we all thought the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M We Love Horses, had it in the bag, and then suddenly, in the blink of an eye, in one round, it all twisted and turned, and then the slide began, and they lost themselves 23 points of the 30-point lead they had. And of course, the Berlin Eagles, as they were, Riesenbeck International, now powered by Kingsland, stormed their way to victory here in London 12 months ago, and that domination, as then began, has not really stopped, and it's given them a 25-point lead coming into today. But well, there is a wonderful golden statue in the background there, of course, King Charles II. We're now, of course, under the reign of King Charles III, His Majesty, but that wonderful building designed by Sir Christopher Wren some 300 years ago. But it's the design of Uliano Vazani that we concentrate on now, as the crowd look to one of their new absolute heroes here on home soil, because it is Joe Stockdale that's going to get us underway. 12 months ago, had a brilliant result here, and of course he was part of Great Britain's team that took the bronze medal and qualified the British team to go to those Paris Olympics next year. And he's been having another strong year, in fact so strong that the Paris Panthers, the big name team that are sitting in second, have actually drafted him in the summer. Although he's not part of the team set up here in London, he's riding as an individual, he's actually been drafted in as their under 25. He was down in Monaco, in Monte Carlo, on that leg of the tour just a few months or a few weeks back now, and in fact really acquainted himself well against some big time opposition. Well, he's going to start us off, give us a clue as to where we're going, with Joe Stockdale riding Don Diego de Plata, this 14-year-old gelding by Ramiro de Bellevue. Part of what he has built together now, a strong team. From 4, back on himself, round he comes, 150, 155 wide, 150 high, that parallel. Now round to this triple bar. It's quite a long run up to the top of the arena here. 6 strides, Oh, just couldn't quite keep that horse off the rail there. The Lugano fence is quite a dull blue. Sadly, it's just losing its confidence perhaps just a little bit. So often the case, you see one fence go innocuously and then suddenly you can find yourself in a bit more trouble. And also just getting caught coming into that combination, which we had a close look at, and it really is a blur of red and white when you come round. You're coming away from home. They finish on a total of 12, 73.52. Time allowed, as we know, is set at 80 seconds, so he's not had any issues in that respect. I would doubt we'll have too many problems there, but 12 penalties, he would have wanted more, but it's given us an idea that this afternoon, what is a very, very jumpable course, is still there to catch you out. Barely touched it, just that front left hoof, giving it a little knock, and down it goes. And then he came back round into the double, set off that corner, ended up too close. Really determined riding though, kept moving. So the first out there of the individual riders, that was Joe Stockdale, Don Diego de Plata. Well, next up, another of the young British riders, Oliver Fletcher, taking his chance here and an opportunity to ride in this big 5-star event. He recently parred of the